Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Overwatch 2 here at NECC. If you're just joining us, once again, my name Warren Jungle God Hammond, joined on the mic by Man of Class. How are you doing after that extended break that we had?
Look, an extended break is never a problem, but then again, you're in the energy, you're in the zone, you want to get
Right?
going. You want more Overwatch 2, and then it's like you gotta wait. But I did get a couple of Kiriko games in because we didn't really see much of it in the last series. We
Whoa.
might see her pop up this time around. We never really know. Sometimes something is just too new to really want to play with it yet. You want to keep it neat in the box, mint condition. Might be able to sell it to the next collector. Problem is, it doesn't really work with digital characters, does it?
No, these are not NFTs here that we're playing with today. Yeah, it was a little bit surprising not to see Kiriko in the lineup. I mean, especially with how powerful her protection Suzu is in particular. Clearing an Ana anti-nade. I mean, we saw plenty of big Ana plays actually in that last matchup. A lot of big antis. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let's see what these next two teams can bring us. Maybe we'll see a little more of her.
Yeah, potentially we will. And of course, we are indeed going to go to Trent Excalibur versus Huntington Esports. Trent Excalibur already on a 2-0 lead currently on the leaderboard, going for their third win potentially. 2-3-1 wins so far. And we're going to have Exel Frost, Impanda, Oscar, Egatron, and I Let Them Fly come at you today to start off. They have got a couple other people on their roster. It's not just these five. That's at least the starting lineup. A very support studded roster, this one. So they must have
Yes.
at least one of them that has tried out, like the little bit of the Kiriko, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And if you got four in your roster, you can swap it in and out. There is a good chance we're gonna at least see at least one of them from them. But
Yeah.
of course, they got some opponents today coming up against them.
That is true. They're going to be headed up against Huntington Esports, who took a loss last week to Louisville Black. So they're hoping to improve their record to 1-1 this week. For their starting lineup, we have Prozac, Ginger, Trashboat, Michael, and Doxic. Now, my eye in particular is going to be, my eye in general is on the tank line. I'm a tank player myself. There's so much that happens around the tank line, but in particular in this matchup, because each team only has one tank player. So, my question going into this is, are these two players going to be able to master and show us the breadth of tank players that we're likely, or the breadth of tank heroes that we're likely going to need to see from both of these squads here today?
Yeah, I mean, in the last series, we did see a little bit of variety of tanks. Obviously, it's sort of within the expectations of variety that we saw coming. With the map pool that we have, it's going to be the same one as last time around. There is some opportunity again for flexibility, but there is going to be that rock paper scissors meta style coming through. That being said, it's emergence, so we're in a slightly lower skill division than we were before, and that can mean that some variety is a little bit more desired or sometimes just sort of forced because
Hmm.
not every single division will have a similar, sort of skill floor or skill ceiling rather that they can reach. And certain heroes or certain compositions become a little bit trickier to execute that way. And that often leads to very entertaining and just very also creative solutions to those problems.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean at this level, different compositions become more viable, right? The higher you climb in terms of SR or skill, the more important it's going to be to kind of stick to those meta picks, right? Stick to the more prominent picks that you see. So in these lower divisions, it's absolutely possible we're gonna see more flexing coming out today. So as yeah, we head into the game and head into the maps. Actually, let's take a peek at those. And again, just a reminder of where we're going to be going today.
Exactly. Just like last series, we're starting out on Ilios, moving over to Midtown and seeing Circuit Royale. After that, though, we just have to hope that we get there. New Queen Street, Nepal, and Busan is the very, very last one that, I'm not really expecting us to get there, but if we do, it will definitely be an amazing series. And that's something I'm counting on either way.
As am I. I hope we get to see at least New Queen Street in this series. Wasn't able to get the push map out in our last one, so hoping for a tighter series this time around. But certainly getting to see these two new maps, Midtown and Circuit Royale, is very very nice. And yeah, we saw. a couple different compositions in our first map, or rather our first matchup. But in general, it seemed to be favoring the Orisa, the Zarya, the Diva. So no major surprises in terms of the tank lineups. And of course, Sojourn was just about ever present.
Yeah, Soldier was doing amazing damage overall. There's constantly the right clicks are coming out. The railgun shots, they're so hard to dodge. Well, you can't really dodge them. Like as soon as you got a click it
Yeah.
on your head, it's a hit scan projectile, but they're very hard to avoid in that situation. And tanks, the only really time we saw like a proper sort of solution against it was on the coming out from the diva of
Mhm.
Alfonso, no Alfonso. I
Oh, you
already
were close.
forgot the
Hold on.
name. I
Yeah,
was
what was
so
it?
close. I got it right here. I am so sorry. I don't want
Apostle.
to do that.
Apostle.
Apostle. There we are.
Apostle. That's who it was. Yeah, yeah,
Apostle.
yeah.
You got, and that was the defense matrix of the diva, right? We talked about the
Yes.
cadence. Like, the cadence of the right clicks usually leads to a very similar shot that you get out, and that way you can sort of match it with the diva defense matrix. That was a very nice solution that they found to that problem, or they found to that situation. But that's not really possible to always do, especially when it's not the ultimate, because then the cadence is a little bit less predictable. You have to be like on top of only the Sojourn, and they also had Faras to worry about and other heroes to worry about.
Yeah.
And just in general, being a tank, like, you can't just keep looking at a Sojourn. But maybe we'll see some more antics like that. Maybe we'll see some very different solutions. Pharah is always a fairly popular pick in a little bit of the slightly lower skill divisions, just because the hit scan isn't as accurate. And you do also notice that teams in general just have more trouble dealing with a Pharah like that. Oscar is hovering currently in the spawn, together with Exo Frost on the Mercy. But, we always know how it goes. They have 5 seconds left. They can still debate us.
They absolutely can. But it looks like that might not be the case here. What they were hovering over is what we are going to be heading out on. And I've just got to say, Egatron, you are a player after my own heart. Rocking the Wrecking Ball makes me happy to see. And we've got an engagement over closer to Huntington Esports side. Again, because Trent Excalibur able to just move over so quickly. Already Egatron able to take Ginger out of the fight. So Trent Excalibur striking first, but Prozac was able to burst him down with those Hellfire shotguns relatively quickly. So now no tank here for Trent Excalibur, but of course they're going to be back pretty quickly. In the meantime, actually, Egatron back almost immediately. Able to take out both supports for Huntington. Prozac falls shortly thereafter. And despite Huntington coming away with at least one pick, it was going to be Trent taking the first point.
Now we're talking, I usually would dub this like the disable special. You get hacked, you get booped, you get booped, you get booped, and then you're kind of just done. Like, especially on a map like Ilio as well, it is so jarring to constantly be CC'd, to constantly be hacked. And yeah, Trent Excalibur is going to be doing an amazing job with that with these 4 heroes. And then there's Mercy to just like back it up.
Exactly. And Oscar able to take out Ginger once again, who has swapped over to the soldiers. So seeing if maybe they can use that hit scan to pick Pharah out of the sky, but not going to be the case this time. And right now, Egatron is just being oppressive. They drop the minefield. That in combination with that barrage is going to spell demise for Huntington once again.
Yeah, I think I see a transcript somewhere that they were typing to Prozac that was trying to catch them on the Reaper, and I think it's na because they're just kiting. You can't get close.
Yeah.
They only engage when they want to engage, and by that time it's kind of already too late to try and do anything against them. They're getting some own CC and sort of dodge and kite of their own, so it might be a little bit trickier to get stuff done, especially when you get impaled by an Orisa. Let's see how much value is going to get from Trash Boat if they're going to be hacked a lot.
Yeah, the hack does come in. Doesn't take out too much. Well, take that back. They're down to just a sliver of health. Doxic very low as well. And it's X-Michael trying their best to keep their team alive. They go ahead and pop the Coalescence too, see if they can turn this fight around. But we're rapidly approaching last fight territory, and that Coalescence might have been better served in the following fight.
So hard to run back into this, like against this comp. And even when you finally take out Oscar, just the rest comes through. Oscar's still alive, not really that close to the barrage, but they might be still the EMP if they want to just tempo this up, because they are still sort of slugging this out, trying to keep control of the point and just stick it to 100. It will get back capped, but there are still members around. This fight's not over by a long shot.
No, it's not. In any kind of a Wrecking Ball composition typically plays like this. You're not necessarily as concerned about keeping the point. More so you're concerned about winning the fight and then dropping back to re-secure it. So that's what we're seeing happen now, but it's not necessarily going the way they planned. As Egatron is very low and B-Boop is already out of the fight. So nice back cap from Huntington Esports. Gonna net them more than maybe it should have.
Yeah, 22% already counting. 96, of course, on the board already for Trent Excalibur. So all they need to do is have a good fight, and EMP is the perfect setup of that. Just get the Fire Mercy, get the double kill, do something like that with the team. You got plenty of ultimates in the bank. This could be just a one and done wombo combo.
It certainly could. We see the EMP coming out right now. Catches both of the DPS. Prozac taken out immediately by Iron Panda. Oscar lets loose with the barrage once again. Sound barrier has to be committed by B-Boop to keep them alive. A lot of pressure coming in from Trash Boat right now. Doxic is able to get the res onto Ginger as well. But the point has flipped over back to Trent Excalibur. Nobody just about gets the touch at the last moment. We see someone drop, but now Trash Boat has to just try and walk through the rest of those mines, and that is not a place you want to be as a tanker or any hero here in Overwatch 2. Huntington Esports, though, doing a fantastic job of possibly turning this around. They're not letting go of it. B-Boop almost gets someone off the edge, but not quite. There's still a couple of members left, but Oscar able to finish them off.
That was a very close situation there to come back into it. It took a little bit to adapt, but Huntington did find a few solutions, and a lot of that was just trying to sort of throw the same tricks back into the faces of Trent Excalibur. Like, especially the Fire Mercy did pose a lot of problems for them. Soldier being a little bit more self-sufficient, like dropping the healing pod, having a little bit of backline protection against the ambushes of the Sombra, and Egatron and B-Boop also had to kind of adapt a little bit more than they maybe were expecting. We're going to see some more changes come through, this time for Trent Excalibur more than anything. Going to be the Impanda Reaper and Egatron on the Winston this time around. Exofrost will stick on the Moira. They're not going to go back to the Fire Mercy, so no reason to run that Mercy. Drashbud will stick on the Orisa. It's mostly Prozac going over there to the Ashe. Will probably be damage boosted a lot as well. Kind of a switchboard for the Mercy to go back and forth between them.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see how it plays out. Already, Trent Excalibur taking control of this mega health pack area, which is a prime real estate to have here on Ilios Ruins. It's going to force Huntington Esports to be able to try and stage with less room. Ginger trying to lay in some rockets, keeping Egatron at bay. I'm Panda forced to move out as well as they went very low, but now Trent Excalibur does have control over the point. They will flip it in their favor, and Trash Boat is able to take I'm Panda out of the equation as well. So even though Trent has captured the point, Huntington in a little bit better position at the moment.
Huntington doing a great job to sort of try and start off this fight. They are, of course, being pushed back, so the point is in the favor of Trent Excalibur. It looks like they're going to be holding on through this fight.
Yeah, it appears they will be. And Trent Excalibur, you know, we talked a little bit at the end of the last match, right? That one of the ways that you can deal with just the massive, incredible health pool that Orisa has is you just pick off everybody around her and then deal with her last. And that's exactly what we saw Trent Excalibur do. So Egatron, the rest of the DPS, they're doing a good job of cleaving in damage, getting that burst damage, and really having Oscar finish things off. I'm a Panda over on the Sojourn now. So that I think could spell some problems as well for Trash Boat on the Orisa.
Oh, these constant hacks, they're just so obnoxious coming out right now on the side of Trent Excalibur. There'll be a lot of damage coming out for the soldier and for the Sojourn. Sorry, doesn't quite be not quite able to live through their dynamite though. And it's eventually looking to be more eliminations of the side of Trent Excalibur. So Huntington going for the point eject.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a pretty good case to be made for capturing it. Oscar, the last player, really holding on. No, take that back. They've got another one back. They launched the EMP as well. Oscar and Egatron able to come back in this fight with force. Huntington Esports, they had the advantage. They had the kills, but they just didn't collapse fast enough. They weren't able to get those last few picks, and now Trent Excalibur is at last fight territory here, and Huntington Esports, it's going to be a scuffed fight if they can touch.
Oscar is just running through the entire team. Hack, butter, hack, butter, hack, butter. They are the hot knife right now, and they're just penetrating it with a giant storm of those speedy bullets.
We're gonna
Beautiful
see
Terror Surge.
Yeah, the Terror Surge comes out. It will find B-Boop with Doxic. Doxic, she did an excellent job getting that res up on Trash Mode as the rest of Trent Excalibur was looking further forward. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Trent Excalibur who's able to get the job done and takes Ilios in convincing fashion.
We didn't really get a chance to touch on it. I don't know if you've seen this thing. So there is an opportunity with the Terra Surge, because obviously you pull like players towards you,
Right.
to use the ultimate to run into the well on Ilios and pull players with you as Orisa. Yeah, it's of course
I've
it's
not
one of those
seen that
things.
yet.
Yeah,
That's
of course it's one of
amazing.
those things that you're not really gonna use in a match most of the time. But if you see the opportunity to get a one, like it's the same thing as with Reinhardt charging multiple people off the map. If you get the opportunity, you're gonna take it. And I'd be super excited to see if one of these teams will actually go for it at some point. Um, but yeah, for now we have had Ilios for the day, at least for for our series that we're going. So let's hope to see it maybe somewhere else in the NECC at some point, or anywhere else really. Like I don't know, as long as I see more of it, it's gonna be great. That being said, we're gonna
Yeah.
go over to Midtown next, so no environmental kills whatsoever possible there.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that specifically because up until Overwatch 2, I believe there was only one map in Overwatch 1 where it was impossible to get any environmental kills. I'm sure you know. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but I will. Do you know which one that one is?
Let me think. Okay, so that's not it. That's not it. Joker Tony can. Dorati can. I know there is one. I'm just blanking on it. I mean, I'll have
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
through all of them in my head to like figure it out. You can't
yeah.
get them on Hollywood. That's the
Hollywood.
one.
Hollywood is the one.
Yeah.
Hollywood is the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hollywood
Eventually you
is the
get there,
map.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
All
So
of
I
them.
think that's something interesting, right? And we haven't really talked about that yet. But Midtown, only the second map where you can't get any environmental kills. So that that shuts down a lot of different strategies. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's very viable. It's a very important thing to look out for on so many maps. But yeah, Midtown doesn't have it. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up here. Now, one thing I want to mention is so far Trent, they've shown just almost exclusively dive tank so far, right? We saw the Winston, we saw the Wrecking Ball. Midtown, not necessarily, in my opinion at least, the best for those kinds of tanks. Winston, I think, can hold his own there a little bit, but certainly Wrecking Ball, I think, struggles on Midtown.
I mean, again, it kind of depends on how you set it up with the rest of the team, because it really didn't feel like it was about the tank a lot of the time. The tank was just over the distraction, and then the Sombra came in for the hack, the Pharah did something. Like, it always felt like the tank was sort of really being the tank, like, distracting the other team, creating the space in that situation. I would say it felt like Overwatch 1 in that sense, because it really didn't. But there really wasn't more of a sense of, you are not the DPS here, which, tanks, they sometimes almost feel like that nowadays.
Yeah.
But it's really the DPS were setting up a lot of these plays that the tanks could like maybe finish sometimes, or was the other way around. And that the dynamic between those two parts of the team looked very convincing. So yeah, I wouldn't be mad to see either of their tanks. But we could see some Zarya come out as well. We could see some D.Va come out. We could see some other things come out. And if you're playing dive tanks anyways, why not go for a D.Va? It's also very
Yeah.
viable.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And the survivability of D.Va, I think, is head and shoulders above what you see on Wrecking Ball or Winston. I mean, Wrecking Ball, have to say it does have potentially the most HP in the game, right? You can pull up to, I think, like 1,300 total when you add on those
It's
adaptive
ridiculous.
shields.
Yeah.
It's absolutely absurd. But at the same time, it doesn't have quite the same damage mitigation effect that D.Va has. So yeah, very interesting choices so far coming out of Trent, but it's working really well. And in particular, I liked the combination of the Pharah and the Wrecking Ball, right? Because they both do big burst damage. And like you said, one of them gets in, does a lot of that initial damage. The other cleans up the kills. And it worked really well. In addition, that combination kept Huntington so far back, at least on Ilios well, that they weren't able to even really contest the objective until they swapped over to Orisa, who just had the health pool that I think was big enough to allow them to get the point.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it came down to. Like ultimately, they had to find such a survivable tank that they could actually make it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just all you can really do as a tank, just like be alive as long as possible. But then again, if you can be alive as long as possible, if your entire team dies around you, then you're still a lonely tank. And that's kind of what can happening a lot at a time. Midtown, again, like we said, we talked about this before. It is such a map where you want to hold that high ground, but the
Yeah.
attacking team is never gonna let you because they could just kind of like walk underneath and crawl past you, and then you either
Yep.
give up point percentage or you try and shoot from high ground, like both try and shoot from high ground, or you contest and you kind of give up any positional advantage you had in the first place. So I don't know, like
Yeah.
it feels like there might be some changes in the future for that, but for now we're just gonna enjoy it in the way it is, and the rest of the map is still very different, of course. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe some shenanigans, especially when you play dive tanks. You know, that surrounds strat on second, very possible.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I mean, one of the interesting things I think, again, that I want to highlight that you said is just the the geometry, the layout of this first point. It honestly, I feel like makes it one of the harder first points to defend in the hybrid map pool, right? Because again, like you said, that only high ground is really a pretty significant distance from the point, right? And so we saw it in the last matchup where one of the teams, they did like you said, they just avoided all of that damage. That bridge, right, just went to point, got a tick, did it again, and eventually were able to capture. So it definitely presents a lot of interesting some interesting problems for the defense.
And I think as well, like when you look at the second point where you have this high ground, it is very pivotal to like how that point plays. It's very like, and it's not quite like Gibraltar where it's that high that you can't really get on it as an attacking team.
Right.
But it does feel like it plays a pivotal point, and in both sides that we saw in the last series, it was kind of, I would say, ignored, but it was sped past really fast. So we didn't really get to see that in play. So I want to see a little bit more from that too.
Now, one thing I should mention is I said dive tanks weren't necessarily great here on this map. I think
But
they're
he's a speedy boy.
fantastic on attack. I think they're fantastic on attack, yes. And already, look, Egatron able to just get one tick by literally just getting to point faster. A couple of picks on the way back to point, though. It's going to make things a little more difficult for both squads. Trash Boat is out of the fight, but they were able to get res. Mycal gone, though. Now, they did get the res off. Remains to be seen if it was worth it or not. Huntington Esports actually putting in a lot of damage now to the point. But in the meantime, Trent Excalibur's got a lot of percentage. They got at least one tick.
Yeah, they got a tick out. They got a couple of late kills, so they can re-engage quick, which with their composition, they definitely can do. They're going to be in a really good spot. Oscar with the barrage ready as well. This could be a very quick take. Minute and a half, roughly, would it look like.
Certainly cut a lot of pressure being put on Doxic. She's out of the equation now, so Oscar just free to launch that barrage. Doesn't have to worry about the sleep dart coming in. Trash Boat not long for this world, and with that, Trent Excalibur has found the first point.
Look, and I gotta also give a little bit of shout out to I'm a Panda. I mean, she's just playing Mei. And if there's one thing I'm a fan of, it's a good Mei play. I haven't really seen a lot of walls just yet, but I'm sure that in the rest of the map that it's going to come through. A lot more sort of these choky points that you can abuse with the high, or get to the high ground with, or in general work out. Mei doesn't really freeze the target anymore unless it's in Blizzard.
Right.
But they sort of started calling her like a flamethrower almost, because that's kind of how the map moves around now. But it's still ice. It's still snowball. It's still the ice gun. So don't worry about that one. The cryo freezer still lives.
Yeah, there absolutely is. Trash Boat out early, and Egatron able to drop in and get quite a few finishing blows right there with the help of Oscar. So great play coming out from Trent Excalibur, and they got control of that high ground just like you were talking about.
Yeah, high ground. And again, very quickly as well, right? Like they were sort of sitting on there as the defense. Really good, well done for Huntington, like sort of recognizing the strength of that position. But you did see that those side rooms were very, well, sparsely used. And I think what you're going to see a lot in Midtown is like sort of the battle over these side corridors, especially this one that you can see sort of center on the screen right now. Can they recontest though? They should be able to.
Oh, Egatron's going to drop a pretty aggressive minefield that's going to do a lot of damage. Oscar finishing things off with the barrage once again. That combo we've seen twice now from this squad, and it seems to be yielding a lot of success.
I think it makes sense as well, right? Like, so you force an enemy team into a specific area, and either they're gonna die to the minefield or they're gonna die to the barrage, but they can't like avoid both at the same time if you place them well. And it's just a very nicely thought out combination of ultimates. Minefield on its own, barrage on their own, they can sometimes be a little bit ineffective. But I like the way that they're again, like they're combining these. And again, Egatron does not care that they're a tank. They're just gonna go on the back line. They're just gonna play their role.
Yep. Exactly. They're doing what they need to do. They're keeping Doxic busy. In the meantime, Oscar able to find Michael. And that's another huge pick because now there's no res on board, at least for the next few moments. Prozac pops Bob now, and this is going to be quite a bit to deal with. They do have the Blizzard out, though. That's going to slow things down tremendously. Bebop is able to take Ginger out. Trash Boat without a mech is not going to do much good either. And with that, Trent Excalibur looks like they are primed to complete this. It's going to be tough to get even a contest here if you're Huntington.
And they're not going to be able to. And it was even not even the most smooth Blizzard that came out there from I'm a Panda. She probably wanted to combine it with like the slam of the Wrecking Ball, which is a very normal thing to do because then of course they can't really move out of it. But because of the defense matrix and the diva, they had to watch out a little bit, and I get that. You know, you can't just throw it out and have Trash Boat eat it because then the whole Blizzard goes to waste. And they still got plenty of value out of it. It was just you saw the sort of like the timing disconnect, and I'm pretty sure that matrix had something to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Great showing though. From Trent Excalibur. I mean, you know, it's interesting too. Going back to the to I'm a Panda and the Blizzard. You know, it's May is not necessarily, I think, one of the stronger characters at the moment, but Blizzard is still a very, very powerful ult. So, you know, I think a lot of the strategy there revolves around just getting that Blizzard as fast as you can and letting it do the work.
I mean, you say that, right? But there's a lot of value that you can get from Mei walls in particular, not necessarily the freeze. And plus, when you get into her range, again, that ice cryo freezer, like you just like the primary fire, the sort of the spray essentially, does a lot more damage than it used to. Like it's actually really hurting. So if you're able to control the space with your tank and the walls decently, she's very survivable and she does a lot of damage at the same time. So it is a very valuable character, especially, again, played with the right sort of support structure around it.
Yeah, excellent point there. Egatron gonna be swapping over to the Sigma. First time we've seen them go to a more stationary tank this time around. Oscar already has a pick on the Michael. We're gonna see Prozac putting a little bit of pressure on the point now.
Going to Sombra, yeah.
Exactly.
Prozac can just get out by using a translocator. They're gonna be able to as well.
Yeah, I'm a Panda. She drops back just in time.
So I like the reason why I like this is because you're kind of sort of you're doing the same thing, but you're keeping the option open of just having Trent Excalibur give up their position and then taking it over as the attack or taking that high ground. They're gonna go up to it anyways right now. No really a hack that came off. Well, it came out on Oscar. In the meantime, Ginger will just get their life for it.
Yeah, nice rock coming in there from Egatron. Caught them in that train where there's not too many places to go, and that rock's got a big hitbox. Hack comes out to I'm a Panda, but they're able to shake it off with relative ease. In fact, they're gonna get the pick on the Prozac as well. And with about a minute and a half off the clock now, things are looking a little rough for Trent Excalibur. They haven't got the same kind of progress I think they were maybe hoping for on the point.
It looks there's a little bit of disconnect between the tempo hacks that Prozac is trying to throw out and like the rest of the team sort of following up on them. It's not quite the timing, it's just that the target selection looks a little bit off and not as focused as we sometimes see from Trent Excalibur. And it's not about winning 1v1s, it's about winning the team fight, obviously. So let's see if they can get an organized, coordinated move onto the next hack, as we do see Ginger just go down to Dynamite again.
Oh, a nice Bob committed there from Oscar. I'm a Panda, though, taken out of the fight. Nano Boost has been committed to Trash Boat as well, so they're going to be able to do a lot of damage here. But still no other picks coming in at the moment. Huntington Esports doing a good job of just sustaining themselves and maintaining position right here. Oscar is going to eat the business end of an anti-nade once again. In the meantime, Michael has gone down once again. Ginger does find a pick. Can they prevent the res? Not in time, and in fact Beboop gets out unscathed as well.
And this is kind of turning into a ridiculous hold at this stage, especially Oscar with the constant dynamite hits on the DPS to the other side. Not enough support to really help them out. Again, this is where a hero like Yuriko comes in. You get dynamite on you, you just throw a cleanse on it, and it's just gone for a little bit. And that's great. Oscar, though, it's not just the dynamite. It's like the shots have just been insane as well. Used the bomb in the last fight. Already up to 80% almost. Do another one. Got the full suite of ultimates for Trent Excalibur. I don't really know what Huntington's going to do against this. But they got to bait out the ultimates really fast or make the three they have so much more valuable.
Right, and you know what do you use them for, right? Because the coalescence can be a great initiation tool, but if the if the gravitic flux is popped, it can be great to sustain your team through it. In the meantime, though, Huntington does have a pair of picks, but Trent
Oh
Excalibur
no.
striking back so hard. Egatron on the Sigma finds huge value, but it's not over yet. Huntington is still getting picks. If they can regroup fast enough, they may be able to start this fight with an advantage, and they'll have Bob.
It started out so well. The EMP was beautiful. They got the instant double pick off it, but then the momentum just completely halted. There was nothing they were doing anymore after that. The gravitic flux comes through. Oscar's just sitting pretty on the high ground, and it just falls apart as fast as it started to roll.
And here comes the coalescence, and Bob Ginger going to use the blade now. Can they find the value? The Immort is there. Beautiful placement of the blade. Not going to get any value. Prozac and I'm a Panda both find a kill, but is it going to be enough? Trent Excalibur is just finding the kills. They've got everybody in Huntington just backed up. A self-destruct coming in. It finds two. Is it going to be enough? Trash mode is still on the point, but they eat a rock. They're down to less than half health, and there's still 3 members of Trent Excalibur alive. I don't think anyone's getting back in time. Trash boat, though, did burn a lot of time. Ginger Prozac might be able to touch, but not going to be the case, and Trent Excalibur goes up 2-0.
Oh, you saw that was so tragic. First, the blade comes out, almost gets a couple after the immortality field gets away. Then you see Trash Boat flying on the Diva, almost gets the kill on onto like the Mercy and then the Baptiste. Everything goes so low health, but the backline peel and like support supporting each other was just off the charts there. And I mean, I get it. You have a little bit of time left. And Dragon Blade comes out, but there needed to be a little bit more cooldown baiting, especially on the immortality field. It's such a valuable tool, and you can see how much it does against you there. How much more it could do than even the protection Suzu could.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, the immortality field I think is 5 seconds. Suzu's 1.5. So there's a significantly more amount of time that you have, to keep yourself up, to find the heals, to regroup, stabilize whatever it is you need to do with the immortality field. Now, it doesn't give you that extra health boost that the protection Suzu does, but the trade-off, I think at least in this case, was definitely worth it.
It definitely was. Like in this case, it definitely was. And there's also been some talking like, oh, just use Kiriko and Baptiste, so you have even more immortality the entire time. And I honestly can't really think of a lot of reasons why that wouldn't be a good idea in a game like Overwatch 2. I mean, again, it kind of depends on what you play with it. Like if you play something like a Sojourn, if you play something like an Ashe, having a Mercy is just a luxury. That's very nice to have because a constant damage boost on either of them, and you can even pick and choose which one you go for at every point in time. It's a single pocket, but it's also the damage boost that comes out with it. The Baptiste is just there for more of like the AoE, the protection, the peel, the backline, all that stuff. It's brilliant, and they're both fairly hard to catch if they use their mobility correctly.
Yeah, it's very, very true. They absolutely are. And actually, in some of the games I've been watching, that has been the difference maker, right? It's just having those supports being a little too slippery, right? A little too slippery to be able to pin down and find and take out of the fight. So that's certainly something that Kiriko has going for her as well. And I'm actually surprised we're not seeing more, dives coming out with like a Kiriko and a Genji, because there's so much damage that Kiriko can do. Right? She gets a headshot. That's 120 damage. That's just tremendous, At that point, Genji could finish somebody off with a dash melee, something like that. So there's lots, I think, of opportunities, lots of different ways that she can slot into a roster. And over time, I think we're just going to see her coming into effect more and more. But today, that doesn't seem to be the case. None of these teams really opting to run her so far.
No, really, haven't really been given themselves or given each other the opportunity to really do it. And no, again, like we kind of like figuring out, right? Is it because she's just actually not that as good as we think she is? Is it because she's so new? And a lot of the time, what it often will come down to is like, as good as her supportive utility is, you still have the kunai to worry about. Like, can you hit those kunai? That can still be a tricky thing to like think about. Like, do I do enough like extra damage next to the healing that can be sometimes a little bit less, but really shouldn't be? And can I make up for that with the kunai headshots, with the kunai pressure, or even the kitsune rush? It's a good ultimate. You know, like
It
I don't know. Like I'm trying to figure out like why you wouldn't run Kiriko. But then again, you know, the question is how much more does she does than certain other supports in certain situations. And I do think that if you run compositions like this, where you run the Sigmas, where you run like these long range hit scans, she's kind of just sitting there. She can't really use her mobility that much. She's always sort of vulnerable to like long range pickoffs. So she's in the way. So all she could really try and do is sort of like around the corner support a tank or support a DPS. And in that point, why don't you play Ana? Why don't you play Zen? You know, it does make
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, you know, the Kitsune Rush, right? We haven't really talked much at all yet about that ultimate. That could be such a beautiful tempo ult, right?
Yeah.
Starting a fight off with that, it slots into the same kind of space, I think, temporally as say coalescence or an amplification matrix, right? You use it when you engage, and it can provide so much value. But both teams gonna be opting for Sigma here, so again, a little bit slower tank with something perhaps with a little bit more utility for their team. Egatron gonna win that tank duel immediately, so Huntington Esports likely gonna have to back off quite a bit here and try to regroup, but taking a lot of damage. Nice sleep comes out from Doxic. She's able to shut down that blast cannon Omnic immediately, but in the meantime, I'm a Panda finds value, and as soon as Beboop wakes back up, they do as well.
Yeah, you can see the approach between these two teams, right? Where you have the like full-on sniper composition with Oscar and I'm a Panda, and then the other side you had Prozac and Ginger on the Ashe and the Sojourn. Now switching over to the Hanzo and the Sojourn, but what do we see on the side of Trent Excalibur? It's the Kiriko. She's shown her face. Kunais are out. The Ofuda are gonna be flying. Let's see how much the protection Suzu is gonna work, because it might actually be a very viable tool against potentially the Gravitic Flux.
Yeah, it certainly could be. It could be huge in a lot of different situations. I mean, it can help you get out of a Dragon Strike. Nice Gravitic Flux from Egatron. Slams down 3, 2 of who die immediately. And that's a beautiful play coming out there from the tank.
Yeah, I think what you're going to be seeing as well is that the position of XL Frost, like how aggressive are they going to be? We're going to be positioning. How are they going to use the Swift Step that comes out the entire time? Just like teleport between different parts of the fight between the teammates, and with where snipers and then the tank are usually positioned, there's like this very nice mid ground that Kiriko can play in.
Yeah, there really is. And in addition, being opposite of the Zenyatta, that is so much potential damage coming in from your backline. I mean, just an absolutely tremendous amount. You heard that dink right there.
Yeah,
big
120.
anti-nade, though, from Doxic hits. Not sure if Excel was able to clear that or not, but in the meantime, Prozac does take out I'm a Panda. Finds a nice headshot on Oscar as well. And Prozac really seems to be finding their groove right now. Bebop is going. Look at this. This is a 4K from Prozac at this.
5.
Make it
That's
5.
the ace. Got him, Prozac says. I mean, it's starting to be a trickier and trickier area of the map to play, especially the Widowmaker in, because the sightlines are sort of janked here. Like you'll have defensive. Oh wow. Yeah, at this point.
All right, we see you, I'm a Panda. We see you.
Someone checked NPC, right? No, I'm sure everything is up to code. I'm not really worried about that one. Otherwise, why would you turn it on only in map 3, right? But that being said, really good shot from Prozac. A lot of the time, this like Hanzo play really comes down to sort of predicting where they're gonna come from and how they're gonna walk, and shooting on time so you predict their movement and their line, because it's not hit scan, like it's a projectile, so you can't really say, oh, I'm just gonna shoot directly at you because you'll miss everything.
Here we hear the Kitsune Rush coming out, and Trent Excalibur following it very, very quickly up that hill. They've already got a couple picks from it. Beboop forces had to use that Transcendence as well. Michael does find the res on the Doxic, but she goes down just as quickly as she was res. And now Trent Excalibur on the brink of capturing second.
I did have to use double support ultimate for that, but they will be coming in with the Gravitic Flux and the Bob soon. On the other side, there are going to be Gravitic Flux, the Overclock, as well as the Nano Boost coming out soon. But now we're going to potentially see how that Protection Suzu comes out against the Gravitic Flux. So the way you should execute it is not by throwing it on the ground as you land, but you throw it against like a teammate next to you or a wall or something while you're still in the air. And you have to time that right, obviously, because otherwise the cast time makes it sure that it doesn't activate before you hit the ground. And then if you throw it on the ground, you'll miss the effect essentially. So you still take that like full 50% damage.
Right, yeah. A tricky thing to time for sure.
It really is, yeah. But I mean,
yeah.
it's a second and a half, so it's a little bit of leeway. If they were to nerf that, for instance, then it might be trickier.
Here comes one of the Gridovitic fluxes. Trashboat going to use theirs to try and turn things around. They're able to do that in spades. Beboop and I'm a Panda both and gone. Here comes Bob as well to try and turn things around for Trent Excalibur, but it's going to be all of their teammates just taking so much damage. We're going to be forced back. So nice hold, at least for the moment, coming in here from Huntington. But Trent Excalibur, okay, I was going to say it looked like they had maybe kited away enough, but no, damage still coming in. This fight is absolutely Huntington Esports.
I am also so hyped that we're going to see the Junkrat from I Am a Panda. I mean, she's just pulling it all out tonight, and I love it. I love the different hero flexes, all the picks coming through. That's exactly what you want to see from them.
That's going to cause a lot of problems for Trashboat too.
Yeah. I mean, we're still going to see whether or not Ginger's going to be more effective on that Sojourn, because that is still a very, very strong pick at the moment. But if those nades are just annoying against the shield a lot, and they get potentially a good couple tire kills with an ultimate that's coming up, then yeah, Panda's going to be kind of carrying the team here.
Oh, nicely done. That's going to be Excel, Frost, and I'm a Panda finding kills. Of course, Bebop there with the Discord orbs to help out as well. Michael going to be able to res Ginger, though, so things aren't necessarily over here for Huntington Esports, despite Trent Excalibur still pushing very hard against them. Excel Frost looking to probably pop this Kitsune Rush right around this corner. Is the protection Suzu to clear that anti-nade off of Egatron as well. Beboop just about has the Transcendence up too. And look at this, I'm a Panda. She's getting in position. She's looking for this optimal place from which to launch the tire. This could be devastating as they don't really have any ults to deal with this.
One.
There's
Fire
the
in the
Kitsune.
hole.
Yeah, Oscar finds Ginger. Oh, here comes the tire. It is loose. There's only a couple members left to try and find. Can they find them? They get Prozac out of the fight. They were already fairly low. Trent Excalibur primed to just walk this one in with a minute 17 on the clock.
Very similar time we saw earlier tonight from like one of the other teams that came through. That was I am just blank on everything for the last that game,
was
St.
Clair's.
St. Clair's who came through like a minute 1 or something. It was like very similar to that. And you saw a similar Trent as well, right? So a little bit of an easy point A push. Then on point B, you get like 1 or 2 fights a little bit tricky. And then on C is where like the proper sort of holds happen from the other team. I will say huge turnaround coming out from Prozac on the Hanzo especially, but also when they switched over to the Sojourn for Ginger was a very strong pick. And it kind of was back and forth when it kept on swapping. I don't think we saw like the full sort of flashiness that we can see out of Kiriko, but very solid performance in XL Frost so far on that hero. Like we got to see it, it got some value, and we're going to see potentially more of it. Currently, they are going to run out of defense spawn on the Baptiste. Still going to see 2 flex supports with the and the Baptiste come out, and Oscar is going to start on the Widowmaker again. Prozac and Ginger, let's see if they've learned and are going to go for a slightly higher, longer range approach than this. Then again, if you're not with a shield, you might just be fine. But with I'm a Panda on the Junkrat, that's also begs the question. The real kicker that we got here, though, is Junker Queen.
Yep.
Junker Queen leading her subject in Shadow Spawn.
Yeah, this is interesting. The first time we've seen her come out today. She was omnipresent previously, but with the nerfs that came into her, she has really found herself on the sidelines more often than not. A lot of damage going into Trash Boat early. Nice rock there, nice accretion, gonna hit Egatron, but doesn't really slow them down too terribly much. Right now, Trent Excalibur doing a good job just holding Huntington Esports at bay at this corner. They haven't really been able to push out too much. Now, Prozac does find Oscar, but in the meantime, Beboop finds another. We've got the res onto Ginger, so Huntington is at full strength right now, and Trent just forced to back up and regroup.
Yeah, Trent, I mean, maybe coming out in a composition that wasn't maybe entirely meant to work. Like, obviously, Junker Queen, while she was really good in the previous meta, ever since those nerfs came through, as you said, as well as a couple of other like buffs and changes that happened in the in the patch notes. She really hasn't been showing up as much at all, and right, I mean, I'd say rightfully so, honestly, just because of the way that
Mhm.
her power level is currently. They're going to be able to contest once more before this payload gets there, but they need to not get
Wow,
picked off
Prozac.
like that. Prozac just aggressively looking at that staircase on the right, especially just to get some headshots. They've already found the one.
Oscar going to be able to contest point on Tracer, but that is a one shot if he landed just right, and Prozac has been landing shots tonight. Trash Boat does take out the immortality field that Trent Excalibur had put up, so that's definitely a position they can start to move from. But look at this, Oscar able to find the final blow on the Prozac. In the meantime, Ginger finds one, but the res is good, the res is in, so Huntington is back up to full strength, and Prozac was able to finally burst down Oscar. With that, things are starting to fall apart once again for Trent Excalibur, and Huntington, it looks like they started to find a solution here. They found a formula.
Yeah, there's plenty of time still to like either make adjustments or find a different solution to their problems currently for Trent Excalibur. But 4 minutes 20 on the clock is a very good start here, at least on Circuit Royale for Huntington. And they don't really have to use any ultimates for most of this. Like, they still got 4 in the bank just to use the Valkyrie, and Valkyrie is not one of those tools that you're really missing all of the time.
Right. Yeah, it's really not. It'd be great to help sustain, but it's not necessarily a game-changing. A nice immortality field, though, from Excelfrost to keep them alive. They were the only ones caught in that gravitic flux, so that was a bit of a whiff from Huntington. Nano Boost committed as well, but to little to no effect. In the meantime, though, it looks like some of these flankers are actually getting picked off by Huntington. And, oh, again, Prozac. Prozac has just really found themselves right now. They are showing up in an incredible way on Hanzo.
The Brave Tracer play of Oscar not yielding fruit so far. 66% towards that pulse bomb. Good Dragon to try and open some space to contest the point, but Prozac is just not missing right now. It's another double. It's a huge anti-nade. Actually, no, it's anti-nade. It's Rampage that comes through from Megatron. Gets the double with that. With that, they will actually be able to hold in the end, but it keeps being so close, especially with all the picks that Prozac's getting.
Yeah, at this point, Trent needs to, I think, start focusing on Prozac, right? Just start focusing on shutting Prozac down, because, they're really carrying Huntington Esports through this so far. So if you can neutralize that threat, you're likely going to be able to find a lot more success. But Prozac's making that hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really, unless you like eat all the arrows or like sort of deflect them in some way, shape, or form. It is always going to be tricky. It's like very similar to like the Sojin shots, the way the shots. Like, you have to sort of either avoid the angle altogether, or you're just not going to avoid it. But Prozac is not stopping anytime soon.
No, they are not. We've got a flank Yada on the prowl as well. He eventually gets picked off by Ginger. So, once again, Huntington looking pretty good. They got the res on the Prozac, too, getting that key crucial player back in the mix. Megatron now, first time we've seen them on the Orisa, taking a lot of damage right now. Hack comes in on the Trash Boat, but Prozac with a Dragon Strike in the follow-up. Again, finding the value that Huntington Esports needs.
Huntington Esports currently on a track to potentially complete this map. 2 minutes to sort of match this time bank that Trent has. 3 minutes just to complete the map in general, which is what they need to do in the first place. Not a gigantic time bank to do it. We saw how quickly time can dwindle away when you're finally on this last objective. But they so far have at least been able to push the cart in a fairly steady pace. Gets another one. Gets another one. It's just not stopping. They do die for it, but the rest just comes through. No harm done. The only thing they will lose is Ginger.
This is phenomenal for Huntington Esports right here. They've made so much progress, right, without even really having to engage in a full fight yet here. Just on the back of these picks that they're getting, or that Prozac really is getting. As they go down to very little health right now, they're going to try and push those storm arrows into Egatron, but they eat most of them. Nice shot comes in from Oscar, able to take X-Michael out of the fight, so no more res. Debu's going to use the Transcendence now to try and keep Trent alive, see if they can stem the bleeding here, because the Nano Boost was committed on the Trash Boat as well, but in addition, Trash Boat didn't really find much value from the Gravitic Flux, so that was a bit of a miss for Huntington.
This time they are getting actually sort of stopped right now. Prozac
Ooh.
close to another dragon. Of course, we've been looking mostly at their vanilla, just arrows they've been shooting at
Yeah.
people. But, dragon can open up some space, although I'm a Panda has been able to do a little bit more on her end.
Yeah, that's very true. She's got the Dragon Strike ready to go as well. Actually, several ults gonna be in the equation for this next fight. Minute and a half left to go, so Huntington not gonna be able to equalize the time bank if they're able to finish. Beautiful shot from Oscar right there. This might be the answer that they were looking for to what Prozac has been throwing at them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all you can do to beat a Hanzo is to play a better Hanzo, right? Sometimes that's all you need, but no. The
Wow.
Infrasight obviously setting that up for the kill, jump right into it, never jump. Like, when there's a Widow with Infrasights, never jump because it's the most predictable arc you can do, and good Widowmakers will be trained to hit that headshot. Just a little tip for you in your own games. But, of course, there's a lot of other things you can do, namely AD and crouch spam, and you'll be very, very annoyed.
Gravitic Flux coming out in response to Bob. B-Boost was able to find a kill. Oscar combines for with Egatron, helping to finish things off. Despite going very low, Excel has to commit the Immortality Field, and you know what? That was close, but no cigar here for Huntington Esports. They almost had what they needed in that last fight.
Yeah, and even though cigars are probably in abundance to find here on Circuit Royale, indeed, no to find there for them. Trent Excalibur just with the double sniper, actually with the sniper and the Junkrat now again, because I'm a Panda, she's just really attached to that Junkrat, it seems. Going back to that pick. Nowhere close to a tire, but of course, very close to it. Infrasight is Oscar once again.
Ooh, did Trash Boat bite off more than they could chew right there? Ginger goes down very low. I'm a Panda just tossing in grenades left and right. They try to take the high ground from them. That was Huntington's plan right here, but it has backfired tremendously for them. We've got Sigma dropping on the point. They're the last player standing, and with that, Trent Excalibur will be going on to a 3-0 victory over Huntington Esports.
3-0 victory, 3-0 in the standings. You know what? It's almost like Trent Excalibur is just going to be the 3-0 team at this stage. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of an overtime push going. And the overtime push is going to keep going for a little bit more with all the DPS. Well, the mobility that they're pushing in, especially with the Wrecking Ball.
Oh, yeah, but this port's going to hurt quite a bit.
Oh, is that Rip Tire? Close.
Yeah, I'm a Panda getting ready to loose that. Excel Frost has the amplification matrix as well. Here comes the Rip Tire. It's going to find Doxic on point. That's going to be a big part of the stall game that Huntington Esports needed to play. Trent Excalibur has to back up, or Excel Frost has to back up to stay alive. In the meantime, nice kills coming in there, and that will be that. Trent cruises to a 3-0 victory over Huntington.
3-0, and not a drop of sweat expended, it feels like. I was a very convincing win there. Didn't even see point B of Midtown, for example. Yeah, there's like so much coming through here through these two teams. And it does seem that Trent Excalibur, at least in this particular conference, is going to have a very good time of it.
Yeah, that they are. And kudos to Huntington. They put up a good fight, but unfortunately they fall to 0-2, which is not the best place to be here. A little bit shorter of a season, of course, for Overwatch because we got started a little late. So next week they're going to have to really look to buckle down and game up. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves in a tough position. But lots of good things we saw from them today. I mean, especially from Prozac. Prozac is an absolute phenom.
Yeah, they're just unable to stop, really. I mean, unfortunately, one player does not make a team in terms of, like carry potential. We even see at the highest level, like there are some of these DPS players that are just constantly popping off. But you do notice that as soon as a meta isn't that one DPS carry centric, like a hyper carry centric, especially,
Right.
It starts to fall off really fast in terms of value. Like the rest of the team does need to contribute. They do need to also do a little bit. You do need to be able to stay alive and also capitalize on the fact that there are fewer enemies around that seem to be a little bit of a problem every now and then. So that's something to work on potentially. Just keep enabling Prozac, obviously, but don't give your own life for it, and don't be a distraction in some way just so Prozac can hit headshots. Because you have the rest of your team it's not like it's a bad team. They definitely have some good players around, but you find sometimes you find that one strat that really tends to work for you, and then you just gotta tool a little bit, like figure out like what are the other parts that we need to make this work even better.
You're absolutely right. But great showing today, of course, from Trent Excalibur. They're going to be a tough team to go up against in the future, especially with that 3-0 match record right now.
Yeah.
Their shots at playoffs are looking really, really good right now.
Yeah, honestly, they might. I'm not saying they've already locked it in, but it's getting very close
It's
already to
close.
that
It's got to
point.
be close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to find out what they're going to be doing. That's to go into more games in the future. It was this series that ends it, at least for you and me tonight. But we're not done. Oh no! In about an hour, we got the next match slated for at least for this particular stream. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you are all hyped and ready up for that one, because that's going to be a doozy, it seems.
That it will. We're going to be taking a look at MSOE Red and Red Bird Academy. That'll be Chef Billy and Bullskunk bringing you the action there. So definitely one you don't want to miss. But like you said, for us, that's going to do it for us tonight. Any final words before we close things out, Man of Class?
Play more Kiriko. She's great. Do it. Not even play it in comp. Just try it in quick play. It's great. And for all the teams here, try it in scrims. Play it more. It seems to be working just fine for like, half a round. So who knows?
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you to NECC. Thank you for watching. GG's and see y'all next time.